So, ladies and gentlemen, the next question that is here on my script. Whoop, yeah. How can companies master connectivity across their supply chain? Question, we will get an answer and we will have another Lobster keynote together with Svenja and Rick. And in this session we will talk more about, and they will walk through a series of live demos. This will be also a very practical session. They are showing how businesses are streamlining suppliers and logistics integration to stay competitive in a digital first world. And we will also see how smart tools, for example, can help supply chains run faster, smoother, and with less effort. And now I have the pleasure to introduce them briefly to you. Svenja Fischer is Chief Strategy Officer at Lobster, an absolutely passionate leader who combines data expertise with human-centered innovation. I like that very much. With a background in technical consulting, digital transformation, and ESG, she has helped shape Lobster's strategic direction across multiple roles. And with her together on stage is Rick Boos. He is Product and Engineering Manager at Lobster, where he leads development on the data network and data products with a strong software engineering and AI foundation. And Rick brings both, once the technical depth and the business perspective. And please welcome here, live on stage together, Svenja and Rick.
Right. Hello also from our side. Thanks for the introduction. And with that, I would say we can get directly started with data products and logistics. Cool. We'll start by building on the keynotes from this morning and explore the value of the Lobster data world a bit further. As we learned, the Lobster data world is making it very easy to get your data connected in a supply chain context. And that's so important in logistics because a lot of the operations and the decisions that drive them are actually held back by manual work and by data just being stuck in legacy systems or long email threads. And that's exactly what we're trying to solve. So either via the data platform approach. So that is a self-service drag and drop environment to help you configure all of the data flows and orchestrate all processes no matter how customized they are. But what we also learned, we don't always need 100% customization, and especially not in supply chain where we have a lot of B2B communications and where we see a lot of similarities actually across the different organizations. And that is where a lot of people would benefit from repeatable connections. And that's exactly where our data products come in. They are predefined connections to all of the relevant trading partners in the supply chain space and to all partner software solutions such as TMS systems or WMS systems, supply chain visibility or alike. And it's all managed on a collaborative environment by Lobster. If it then gets more specific, from a process perspective, we're back at the data platform. And often customers combine best of both worlds and ultimately have a hybrid offering. So going back to the data products, in a nutshell, they are tackling common supply chain connectivity challenges with a collaborative approach. And with that, we're creating the basis for a truly connected supply chain. For a supply chain where distributed data is integrated. And with that, all of the different stakeholders get a 360-degree view on the product journey. And if you think about that product journey, that spans across the multiple stages. So it starts at origin, then goes via the different modes of transport. So we are supporting air, rail, road, and sea. Products are crossing borders, so custom operations, and products being stored. So we're talking about warehousing or port operations. If again you look at the end-to-end supply chain, we have also identified key areas in which we see really high data and connectivity needs. And these include, you can see them here on the stage, procurement, e-commerce, logistics operations, compliance, and supply chain master data. And these are also the areas that we as Lobster innovate in and where we bring together integration know-how with supply chain domain know-how to really deliver the best possible solution. Once you activate a data product that also sits in those domains, you're automatically connected to the data network. So that's a fully managed ecosystem that lets the data flow between all of the different participants. And what you can see on here is actually a partial representation of that network, where each of the dots represent the companies and organizations that are connected to the network, and the lines represent the data that is flowing between them. So we can think about shipment data, or e-invoicing data, purchase order data, or alike. And ultimately, as more organizations join the network, the value is increasing exponentially for everyone involved. And we have already about 600 connections managed on the network. Though all of this is powered by the data products. But what exactly are data products? So we've heard the names, we've heard shipments, e-invoicing, purchase order. We heard that they're predefined connections managed in a collaborative environment. And they're that. They help you to get to connected data in the supply chain. They also have additional capabilities. These include discover, onboard, validate, and visualize. Discover means that you can browse and really see who is already on the network in the different categories. You can also see your own partial representation of the network. Onboard means that you can get onboarded yourself. So a business person can simply provide the information that is needed to set up a connection to your systems, and then the technical implementation is happening in the background. Or it can also mean that a manufacturer needs to onboard all of the different logistics service providers. And normally, you would probably sit in long phone calls and write emails back and forth. And that experience is digitized and made scalable so that the manufacturer can provide a simple login link, and the LSPs can join that onboarding experience. Validate is also very important. So data products validate incoming messages. This is relevant, for example, in an e-invoicing context, where we really legally need to validate the incoming invoices before we then archive them. Visualize means that all of the data is visualized, including status messages, so that it's never a black box for you. Rick is also going to demo and show you everything in a couple of minutes. Let's already try to make it a bit more concrete by looking at a couple of use cases and really understanding how we get to clearer insights in order to take those confident decisions that are so important in uncertain times and fast-moving environments, as we've already heard this morning. And to really understand why connected data is needed for that. We're going to look at two examples. First one being supply chain visibility, and the second one, already talked a bit about this morning, supply chain compliance. Let's start with supply chain visibility and the clearer insights that everyone wants in that space. So here we need to know what is shipped, where it is right now, and what's likely to happen next. We also want to have visibility into the SLAs and how our trading partners are performing. And with those clearer insights, we can then take confident decisions. So these decisions can either be more tactical, like, for example, what do I do if a shipment is stuck or delayed now? What is affected? What are my options? Or they can also be more strategic in terms of what trading partners do I really want to work with long term? Where do I see the value? How do I have the flexibility to change without a heavy IT lift? And how do I strengthen the relationship with the trading partners in a supply chain context that also bring value long term? And for all of that, we need connected data. So we need retailers, manufacturers, suppliers, and logistics service providers to be connected in an easy way. And that's exactly where our data products again come in. So either the connections are already set up and ready to use on the data network, or the onboarding experience is going to make it very easy to have those implemented. Let's quickly explore a couple of high-value use cases in the area of supply chain visibility that we're supporting our customers with. So we see transport order or TMS connectivity with transport orders being exchanged, and also shipment tracking status messages based on that. Port connectivity is also very important to have the visibility really at every stage along the supply chain. Warehouse connectivity is important and an enabler for smarter inventory management across your multiple locations. And customs data defines how smoothly or not your cross-border operations are running. Before I hand over to Rick, let's look at the other key challenge in supply chain, which is staying compliant with as little effort as possible. Again, let's start with the clearer insights. And here we need to have the visibility into all our processes to understand where we're compliant, where our supply chain partners are compliant, and how do I also get compliant in case there are some gaps. Let's take e-invoicing as an example. So here we need to know in which countries can I actually send and receive valid e-invoices so I comply with legal requirements. And then based on those clear insights, I can take confident decisions to start business in a new country or region, knowing that I will be able to comply with legal requirements in regards to our financial flows there. Confident decisions can also mean combining the insights from two data products. And here let's take shipment and e-invoicing as an example. If we combine insights from both, we can actually use that for smarter invoice settlement based on the shipment data. And again, for that, we need connected data. We need retailers, suppliers, and especially also the manufacturers in this case, and the logistics service providers to be connected, either directly or more and more in an e-invoicing context via government platforms that define how to send and receive e-invoices. And sometimes you even need to be certified in order to be allowed to send to that government platform. And that obviously adds an extra layer of complexity for you to implement those flows. And that's, again, where the data products come in. We remove that complexity for you as we have solved it once, and then we make it repeatable for everyone, ready to use on the data network. And if you now think, cool, this all sounds great, but how do I get started? And what does the product actually look like? That's exactly what Rick is going to walk you through right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So earlier today, we looked at A to Z, and let's just have a look at what the network means for them. So we can, of course, exchange shipment information, but that's built up by this network with all those different participants. You can see logistics service providers. I can see a network like Peppol, and I can also see on the right-hand side that we have different business partners and technology partners like Project 44, where you can do visibility use cases, and Carbon Care that's calculating all kinds of ESG data. All those business partners and technology partners send data to our system, and then you get this overall overview of the different shipments. So all the information comes in one place, and we can then look at it, we can filter it to see what is the status of this particular shipment, or was it an inbound shipment? Was it an outbound shipment? And those kind of things. And this allows you to see what is flowing through our through our network. And then once you've identified a particular shipment, you can open it up, and then you can see everything that's happening here. And on this screen, you can see that we have information coming from a transport order, but also information from the different updates. So you can see actual pickup time and actual delivery time. And on the right-hand side, you can see even more information about what is the shipment, what are the handling units, and basically who's doing what with it. We can also add some documents, like in this case, a proof of delivery, the awesome picture of Yetro, or a signature, but also, for instance, a label image that you can print and put on the actual package. Our location updates keep track of everything that's going on. So every time something is scanned or when it's actually picked up, we can show that and visualize it. Underneath the messages, you can see everything, how we've built it up. So we can see messages coming in via HTTP, being sent out via AS2. We do a lot of processing with that information to make sure that we create that one unified view of the shipment that we then hand off to the relevant systems. And this is more or less what we call connected data. So how did we actually build this? We have your system. It can be any kind of system, as Svenja mentioned. We then link it to our situation, like to our communication. We do some communication, validation, and we map it to our default format. Then it ends up in our communication hub, and we use Kafka for that. That makes it very nice and scalable. We store the information in Mongo, so later on we can then visualize it in the UI that you saw. In that same UI, you can define what kind of processes you have, how you want to connect to other people, and then our communication hub knows where to send this information, and in what format, and in which language. So you don't have to worry about the systems of the others and how they exactly communicate. We do that communication and mapping for you. And then we send it off to one or more other participant systems, and they can, of course, send information back. And all of this together, we call connected data. And if we look a little bit closer at that shipment example, then we have A to Z, and they have a TMS system like Riga, and that creates some kind of ADFACT message that then ends up on our connectivity layer as a transport order, and we do the magic things with it. That means we unify the data structure, we validate the data, we might enhance it with all kinds of default information that we have, like routing information, and then we make sure to hand it off as a generic shipment that is being translated to whatever LSP needs to receive it. And the nice thing is, multiple LSPs are on our network, so if at some point you want to switch, you don't have to worry about the integration. All you have to do is click a box, and then we know where to send it to. Those guys will acknowledge the shipment, they will send some information, and that information will end up in the TMS. So our UI is not necessarily the thing that you'll be using, but we make sure that the data sits where it needs to sit, which is in your TMS and with the LSP that is serving you. When everything is done, of course, they send an invoice, and that invoice will end up in the relevant system as well. So in this case, it will be SAP. Sometimes that's done directly, and sometimes we use our Peppol network for it. And it's not just this. We don't just do, let's say, integrations between two companies, but we also have this awesome network of technology partners. So you can imagine that you can send off that data to Project 44 to get even more insights and to get even closer to what is happening in your supply chain. Or you care about ESG, and you use a service like from our partner Carbon Care that can receive the shipment and then enrich it with ESG information. So we want to make sure that everybody can collaborate on that same shipment throughout the whole supply chain. And because we have this setup and we have this common data model and this communication hub, we also have an amazing way to actually connect all those companies. And for that, we also are launching our marketplace. And on the marketplace, you can find your trading partners. So you might want to do business with them, as well as where you can discover all kinds of partner software solutions, those technology partners. And you can imagine that it's like visibility use cases, or AI use cases, or it's going to be ESG or compliance use cases, and it will help you run your business way better. So you can increase the quality of your service, the reliability of your delivery, and you can do all kinds of things. And our technology partners also really like this approach, because this allows them to build an amazing product that gives the relevant insights that help you drive your business without having to worry about individual integration for individual companies. So basically, we provide the integration and they provide the tools on top of it, and together we make sure that you can run your business in the way you want to. And it's not just this. Like, this is the amazing data network, but as Svenja said, sometimes you want to go faster. You have your own use cases, your own logic. So in the Lobster data world, we have seamless integration. Like, on one hand, you have the data products that we explained, the plug-and-play connectivity, and on the other hand, you have the drag-and-drop capabilities that you are already very familiar with. And the idea is, if you know the product, in phase one, you can receive information from a data product. So that means you can build a data app like Jetro and Patrick showed earlier today, where you receive the information from anyone on the data network, and you can build all kinds of use cases. So you can build your own visibility and track and trace portals, or you can do your own calculations, for instance, about CO2 or ESG, or you can do some risk assessments. And based on the rules you define in there, you might do some alerts, or you might want to set off a certain process. And of course, lots about that is also happening on the other stage. You can use this data and pass it on to AI services to make sure that you can run some automated insights and decision making. And it's just as easy as you know of the rest of our platform. You just receive it in a profile in phase 1, and then I would say we do the integration, and you create your own insights to make sure you can run smarter decisions. And sometimes these decisions mean you have to actually collaborate with other people again. And of course, this works bidirectional. So in phase 6 of another profile, you can send information back into the data network. So imagine a use case, you get some messages, one of those exceptions that Patrick showed. You have a human in the loop, the human is going to do something, and then at the end they say, well, I approve this, or I make a small change, I reroute this shipment, and then I send it back through the data network to anyone that needs to receive it. So for instance, the OSP knows where to reroute that particular shipment. Well, that sounds awesome. How do I get started? Basically, that means we can get your system connected. All you have to do is just let us know what your system is. So we can connect to, I would say, any major ERP system or GMS system or WMS system. And we partially use our own technology. So we can use all the amazing channels we have. So you can use like SFTP or AS2 or REST. And we can also fall back on other options. So maybe you just have email integration, or we use a partner like Stargo to actually do some AI and some OCR pre-processing before we send it into the data network. And our onboarding team will make sure that we create that integration and that we maintain the connection to your system. So if you upgrade your ERP, and that means the message is going to look slightly different, just inform our team, we'll make sure to update the connection, and all your trading partners will make sure that they can stay connected. And it's the same with the other participants. Like if they change something, we'll make sure to update them and you won't even notice. So in short, how do we add value with the data products? They are pre-configured and they're regulation ready, and they can directly fit into your workflows, and you don't have to do any setup, or you don't have to create any fuss. It's a short project because basically you can let do the work for you. And then I would say, just connect once to the data network, and then you can connect to all your trading partners. And we are that neutral layer that can allow you to be very flexible in what partners you use, what technology you use, what core systems you use. And as Svenja mentioned, we have all kinds of knowledge about the supply chain and the government networks and complex topics like e-invoicing across the different countries. And we add all of that knowledge into our products. And that means we can get you connected faster. And as a result, you can reduce delays, or you can improve visibility, and you can deliver a structured, reliable data from day one, and use that to scale and adapt your business.